There's a lot of tracks in Super Mario Kart, so I thought it would be fun to count down the top 10 hardest tracks in Super Mario Kart. I'm Liam from the Switch Squad. Let's get into the video. So to start, we have Mario Circuit 4. So the reason this track is on the list is because it has a lot of sharp turns and pipes to get in your way. It has a lot of oil piles too, so you have to make sure you don't bump into them. There's a shortcut, but you'll need a mushroom, or otherwise you'll lose a lot of speed. The track itself gets narrow at one point in the track too, but this track isn't very difficult, which is keeping it from being lower on the list. So now we have one of the two Koopa beaches in this game. This one made it over Koopa Beach 1 because there is more water to avoid and it's slightly more difficult. There isn't much else to say about this track, but this track isn't too bad to deal with, putting it at number 9. So we have another Mario Circuit. Seriously, why are there so many Mario Circuits in this game? There are 4. The reason this one is lower than the other one is Mario Circuit 4. The turns are even more ridiculous on Mario Circuit 3. There's one pipe that I struggle to avoid. There's a shortcut like the other one, and it's the same situation. You'll need a mushroom. And the oil is a little less annoying, but the sharper turns and the annoying pipes put this one lower on the list. So now we're getting into the tracks that are actually difficult. Vanilla Lake is covered with ice and snow, and this is an older Mario Kart game. I think you know where this is going. Ice physics. If you don't know what ice physics are, it basically means that you have absolutely no control whatsoever. They fixed this in Tour, but back then, this was annoying to deal with. To make matters worse, if you go in the snow where you actually have control, you lose all of your speed. And there's ice blocks in your path too. If you hit one, you'll lose speed. So you'll have to break the ice blocks or let the computers do it for you. Luckily they don't respond, but this is truly annoying to deal with. This track may be in the Flower Cup, but that doesn't mean it's not obnoxious. It has a dead end. It's one of, if not the only track that has a dead end in Mario Kart history. That in itself is just ridiculous. And even if you had a feather, it's still difficult to jump over. Oh, and the thwomps are annoying too. They'll constantly get in your way, and the computers can go through them. My goodness. So now we have a Ghost Valley track. The first ones are relatively easy, but not this one. The turns you will take are awkward. You go one direction, 2 seconds later you're going a completely different direction. There's some boost pads and ramps you can take, but the ramps goes over a hole. And if you fall in, you might as well start all over again, because if you fall into Super Mario Kart, it's all over. If you hit all the walls, then they disappear and don't respawn. If you can memorize all the turns on this track, then it shouldn't be too bad. Bowser Castle 3 is just like it 2, but it's even more obnoxious. They're all right angle turns, which isn't too bad. And there aren't any dead ends this time. But what there is about 100 thwomps, and there's a row of 4 that gets in my way almost every time I play this track. And we haven't even talked about what it's like to get squashed. It's game over if that happens. Oh, and what about the split path? The track switches into 3 lanes for a portion of the race. And if you hit the barriers, then you lose a lot of speed. You will also have to take the turns perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to bump into a corner, and just like the barriers, you're going to lose a lot of speed. This track is one of the more obnoxious ones. Donut Plains 3, there's a bridge with a hole you can fall into. But unlike Koopa Beach 2, you can't jump out, and this time cutting corners is actually slower because there's dirt sitting on the ground, and all other turns there's Monty moles trying to get in your way. Oh, and the other bridge, you literally have to jump over a hole in the bridge and immediately take a sharp turn. But I think you know what's next. You thought Vanilla Lake 1 was annoying to control. Have you ever met Vanilla Lake 2? You, again, have barely any control, and there's groups of snow blocks that are annoying to get through. And there's 3 with 2 little tiny cracks to get through. And there's a lake too. Well, it's pretty easy to avoid. I think you know what number 1 is. This is one of the hardest Rainbow Road tracks ever. No boundaries, a ton of thwomps, and nowhere to move around. It's also the most recreated track in Mario Kart. The swamps on this one aren't like the ones in Bowser's Castle. These ones shake the ground, and this was before shaking was a thing. And if you touch a swamp, you'll spin out and lose some of your coins and have absolutely no speed. And usually you'll get smashed by that same swamp right after, so it's difficult to get past the swamps. And because the road's so narrow, if you're not a heavy character like Bowser or Donkey Kong Jr., then you better hope that you don't get knocked around. But this track is still pretty good, and you can't completely hate a Rainbow Road. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. We'll have loads more of these to come. Disagree with me? Tell me your opinions in the comments. I'll respond to as many of you as possible. I hope you have a great day.